lines. Now, Sam, I guess, has a cheering section with him, so come on in, Sam. Now, Sam was unfortunately mentored by me, which means he got about 5 minutes, but no, he actually spent a time watching the show last week and went on the show and then got himself in some hot water because people didn't like what he said. So Sam had a busy week. He even got told not to come here today. Well, I'm glad you came anyway, Sam. So you had for a contestant, you had a very eventful week.
Yeah, it was interesting. It was a fun week, though.
Yes. So good to see you. I'm glad you came.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
I wouldn't have missed it for the world.
Yes, and we can just for the record let everyone know that I didn't put you up to any of your comments, correct?
No.
If I did, you just lie anyways. Yeah, but actually, I didn't. So are you ready to roll?
I am.
Now, here we go. 2 minutes. I'm going to turn it over to you. It's your show until you throw it back to me. 2 minute monologue. There's your clock.
Okay, great.
Here's your 2 calls.
All right.
Here is your promo.
Okay.
When you've got all that all done, all 3 elements, give me a cue and I'll jump back in and then we'll talk to the judges. Ready?
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, contestant number 2, Sam Mines.
All right, Sam Mines on the Fan, Sports Radio 66, WFAN. And the big story today, of course, is St. John's hiring Chris Mullen to be their new head coach. Now, sometimes you have to take a step back in order to take a step forward. And I got to say, St. John's definitely took a big step back in time to the good old days to get Chris Mullen. And I really do like this move. From a Johnny's perspective. They could have definitely tried to go out and hire guys like Pecora, Masiello, or either of the Hurley brothers, and they're good coaches, but guess what? As coaches, they have just as many NCAA tournament wins as Chris Mullen has. And yes, some would have liked them to go out and get a guy from a bigger program with a little more experience, but they just fired that guy in Steve Lavin, who spent 8 years as the head coach of UCLA. Also, any coach can get hired by a program, get to the press conference, and say things like, I can see what St. John's means to the community, and I understand their history. But Chris Mullen literally lived their history. All right, he was a major member of that community, and he was around for what was the golden age of St. John's basketball. And he was there when Luke Harnaseca was a household name and Mike Krzyzewski wasn't. And now Duke, as well as the rest of the NCAA, has flown by St. John's in terms of success. Now, Mullen may not have been a coach before, but he's done just about everything else. He was Mr. Basketball in the state of New York. He played everywhere up from high school to obviously college at St. John's, and then he had a very successful NBA career. And he also won gold with the Dream Team at the Olympics. He also held front office positions with the Sacramento Kings and the Golden State Warriors. Yes, he has no experience in recruiting, but if he can put the right staff around himself, I do believe he will succeed with this St. John's team. I like that the Johnnies didn't go for the safe hire or the easy hire. They went big, flashy, and historical, and hopefully for the game of basketball in New York City and for St. John's, he will return them to prominence. And speaking of prominence, make sure you're locked in this Saturday for the NCAA Tournament's Final Four. Our coverage begins at 10 a.m. with Joe Beningo and Evan Roberts broadcasting live from FanFest in Indianapolis.
Awesome.
Then, after the Yankees wrap up their preseason schedule, the game against the Washington Nationals, we'll head back to Indianapolis for a pregame coverage at 5 p.m., followed by the Final Four doubleheader. First up, it's the Duke Blue Devils and Michigan State Spartans. Then, it's the undefeated Kentucky Wildcats and Wisconsin Badgers in a rematch of last year's Final Four. And a reminder that on Monday, we've got more hoops and hardball as the Yankees open the 2015 season at the stadium against the Toronto Blue Jays at 1:05. Plus, we'll take you back to Indianapolis for the championship game at 9 p.m. All here on your flagship station for New York Yankees baseball and March Madness basketball. The Fan, Sports Radio 66 and 101.9 FM, WFAN and WFAN-FM, New York. All right, we'll take some calls now. Randy in South Brunswick, you're on The Fan with Sam Mines. Randy, how are you?
Hey, Sam, I'm glad you brought that subject up about Mr. Mullen. I did a little homework because I talked to Mike the other day, and the guy that I wanted him to go to Rutgers is really where I wanted to go, but he didn't end up there, and he didn't end up to St. John's, is Danny Hurley.
Yeah.
And the reason that I think that he should go there is they should have went after a kid like that or his brother is because when your father is who his father is, and you have them kind of ties to players, there's no way that his father's going to let him fail. If you look at the Rhode Island team, I did some homework. He's got 3 kids on the team, two from New Jersey, one who played at St. Benedict's with him, and he's got a kid out at Staten Island who his father has a connection with.
But he's still...
So that's the reason that I wanted to go with that.
He's still building that Rhode Island program, though. You know, he doesn't have a lot of experience
That's
yet.
my point.
So I don't know if St. John's...
No, but he has a big tie that Mullen doesn't have.
He does, but
You know,
Mullen's
if
name
I
will
remember
carry a lot of headway with coaches of these players. You know, he'll walk into high schools, and the fathers of these players he's trying to recruit, and the coaches of these players, the high school coaches he's trying to recruit, they'll know who Chris Mullen is, and they'll say to their players, you know who this guy is? And if they don't, he's one heck of a basketball player. Like I read the list of things he's done. If these kids don't know about him, they will. Listen, I think either the Hurleys, like you said, Danny Hurley would have been good, but he's still in a young position, still trying to build as well. And I think
that's the guy you want, though, a young guy, Tim. You want a young guy.
Yeah, but
you want a young guy to build a program. You know what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying, and I thank you for the call,
We're not going to
Randy.
agree, just like me and Mike did agree.
No, thank you for the call, Randy. Now we're going to go to Tim in Milford. Tim, how are you?
Yeah, how you doing? Great job on the read there. That was tremendous.
Thank you very much, Tim.
Bottom line, probably after this week's over, nobody cares about St. John's basketball anymore.
Well, that's hopefully what we're trying to correct.
I guarantee
Let me
that's
ask you a
too.
question. I'm calling from Mongo Nation. So let me ask you a couple quick questions here representing Mongo Nation.
All right.
Number one, do you know who they are? And number two, what do you think about our guy, Mike Francesco?
Do I know who Mongo Nation are? Yes, I know who Mongo Nation is. Have lots of friends.
That's in a second.
Okay.
That's it.
All right, well, thanks for the call, Tim.
Mongo Nation gets enough publicity on the show, that's for sure. Hey, all right, you know what? We're jumping in right here. That second one was obviously a plant. But listen, since I mentored you, I won't comment on what you did. I'll let the folks let John start first. Go ahead, John.
All right, Sam, obviously you were topical. That's what I'm looking for when I tune into the radio, 1 o'clock, 5 o'clock, whatever the time may be. You started with the big story of the day. That to me is an absolute must. You didn't try to reinvent the wheel. You seemed very rehearsed. You're well-spoken. You're obviously very thought out. You know your stuff. But it almost seemed a little too professorial.
Hey, John, that's
When
professionalism,
I'm sitting there
bro.
listening to the radio, I didn't feel the passion as much as I feel like you have within you. So for future shows, whatever it may be, give me a little more enthusiasm, give me a little more passion. Very well spoken. Really liked your transition to the read. I thought that was excellent.
That's
You went right
transition.
from your monologue right into the read. You read it perfectly. Thought you did a great job on that. One thing I got to take you to task with when it comes to the call, you could say Chris Mullen's the right hire for St. John's. No issue there. But to say Dan Hurley doesn't have experience, one at St. Benedict's, one at Wagner, one at Rhode Island, built a team at Rhode Island that won 20-plus games, won 8 games a couple of years ago. Dan Hurley can coach. Okay. So just throw that word choice, I guess, away. To say no experience, you're better than that.
Okay.
But
Literally, John, you're so jealous.
Kim, go ahead.
How did you think you did?
How did I think I did?
Yeah.
Crushed it.
Was it what you wanted to accomplish?
For the most part, yeah. I had a little trouble with obviously the second call, and I think John was right about that. I shouldn't have maybe said so much about Hurley, but I was trying to get more towards, I think he wanted kind of more of a big-time thing. But yeah, you're right. I think I did good.
You know, I'm not so much worried about your opinions, because you can have whatever opinion you'd like about Dan Hurley or anyone else in the world. And it's a matter of backing them up. And maybe if you had had more time or another caller, maybe we would have heard more on that, or maybe you would have used different words. But your opinions, that's not my point. I do wonder, do you feel passionately about the Chris Mullen hire or not so much? You're obviously, I remember rooting for Chris Mullen to lose to my Georgetown Hoyas. You're not nearly old enough to have done that. So do you feel passionately about it or not so much?
I do. I like St. John's, and I actually do. I like this hire by them.
Okay.
So yeah, I do. I'm happy about it. I'm excited about it.
Okay. I would probably, if you do, and you're not always going to feel passionately about every topic in Sports Talk Radio, you're just not. But I would let that come through a little bit more, and the enthusiasm. And if you're going to read, and that's okay, but there needs to be a little more inflection and a little more, in my opinion, conversational ability to convey your your thoughts as opposed to reading something to someone. But I thought you did a good job. You know your stuff, and I hope that you're happy with. I hope all the contestants today leave here happy with what they did, because this is a great opportunity. So a good job, Sam, and I look forward to hearing more from you.
Thank you.
Sam, go ahead.
Sam, I really enjoyed it. Look, and maybe it's because I'm a geek.
Baby.
I like the professorial delivery that you gave, because I think sports radio, really all radio, it's for a couple of reasons. One, to incite a passion, as Kim was talking about, whether pro or con, but also to teach and to inform. And sometimes you need to write it out, because you need to get it collected in your head so that when you deliver it, it's disseminated the right way. So I enjoyed your monologue, and also the transition right into the read was perfect. It's one of the hardest things to do.
Perfect.
Is to get from one thing that you're talking about.
Guys at the station who don't know how to do that.
You're absolutely right, and you did it.
A.K.A. John
And
Bum.
it doesn't have to be vast or long, but the transition words you used was perfect. Speaking of which, and you got right into the read, it flowed nicely. And then lastly, on the caller, forget the second one, but the first caller, if you're going to interrupt them like Mike does, just interrupt them, right? Don't get caught talking back and forth. You know what I mean?
Just blast them.
Just exactly. And talk back to your producer, tell him to bring his mic down. So I thought you did a great job. I enjoyed listening to you. And good luck, man.
Thank you.
Good job.
See you, man.
Good. Yeah. All right, Sam Lyons, contestant number 2. Thank you, judges. Go.